Hello everyone, back to tuning into today's Spider Final video. We're going to have a look at the weather next 10 to 14 days for today's final video. Day 10 will take us to the 11th of August, so we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the GFS, ECM ensembles, maybe on track of weeks. We'll have a look at CFS V2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks. It will get us pretty much to the end of August. I'll get over that for you in a moment. Just to say that the first video today was our 6 AM UK weather forecast. We've also released a detailed European outlook as well. Check out those two bits. If you'd like to do that, like, share, and subscribe on all today's videos and content. And thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. The GavsWeatherVids, thank you so much, everyone. Don't forget, we've got Terry Scotland's August forecast coming up this evening, by the way. And that will be on GavsWeatherVids blog. So I'll share the link to that on all of the socials, of course. Right, we're going to start off with the scenario today. Are we going to get these spreads? A bit of a stamp squib overnight, wasn't it? Wasn't many storms around overnight. And so far, today hasn't been many either. We do see perhaps a few heavy showers beginning to break out now across southwestern parts of Wales. And last night's wet weather clearing off into the North Sea. Otherwise, not a lot going on. Let's have a look at the Apage model. See how that's forecasting things. So that does generate some big showers down in the south through the last part of the afternoon and into the evening. Those showers extending up towards the Midlands. I have to say they do look a little bit mediocre. You don't look at that and necessarily think they're going to be much in the way of thunderstorms with that. But again, Apage can be a little bit stingy, so they might be more widespread and heavier for that. We've got UKV here as well. Again, from the weather outlook. Now, this is for 1 PM, showing quite widespread heavy showers and thunderstorms through South Wales and the Southwest Midlands. Go back to the radar, you see that's a bit over the top, so we haven't had that many showers and storms breaking out up to this point. Into the afternoon, we find showers and storms drifting through the Midlands, central southern England. Again, they look quite hit and miss, but some pretty severe downpours in there if you catch one. And then those storms, which I think have been downgraded though since we did storm watch last night, to be honest. Those storms then move up towards Lincolnshire and East Anglia overnight. Again, looking really quite hit and miss tomorrow. Start bringing wet weather in from off the Atlantic, but 1 or 2 storms possible there through parts of East Anglia. And then finally, we've got WRF at Metro Seal. And, well, that does look better. So WRF still looking more widespread with both storms and downpours to about through the afternoon. Again, particularly through the South Midlands, central southern England. And those storms sticking around sort of the south eastern Midlands area and also towards far southeast as well, way on into the evening and night. They keep rumbling away. Finally, they kind of die out by the end of the night. So all of those three out of the three, WRS still looks relatively encouraging for some quite widespread thunderstorms this afternoon and into the evening across central southern England. Apage, as ever, not showing a lot. UKV is somewhere in between there, I think. So it remains to be seen, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, we did storm watch last night, so if you want to check that out, you can do, see how things were looking last night. And we'll see how things go through the course of this afternoon and this evening. Right, so that's a nice little mini storm. What's to start off, wasn't it? Let's move on and see what's happening in the tropical Atlantic. So we've got this yellow X here, which is disturbance 1. With a 20% chance of cyclone formation in the next 2 days, but a 60% chance in the next 7 days. National Hurricane Center are saying southwestern Atlantic and eastern Gulf of Mexico. A well-defined tropical wave is producing a large area of disorganized showers and thunderstorms over Hispaniola. Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and the adjacent waters of the southwest Atlantic and northeastern Caribbean Sea. Development of this system should be slow to occur during the next couple of days while it moves west-northwestwards over portions of the Greater Antilles. However, environmental conditions are forecast to be more conducive for development after the wave passes the Greater Antilles, and a tropical depression could form this weekend or early next week over the eastern Gulf of Mexico or near the Florida Peninsula. So, one to watch at the moment, that might be our next tropical storm and or hurricane, so we'll keep you updated on that. Right, central temperature is in for July, so we confirm that we ended up at 16.3, despite the very chilly start, actually 0.3 degrees above 61 to 90 average there. I always think if you're within half a degree of average on either side, really, you've had basically an average month. And that is, interestingly, that's 0.3 degrees below the July CT for the 91 to 2020 average. So compared to the more modern average, it's slightly below average. Compared to the older average of 61 to 90, it's slightly above average. Basically, we've had a very average July. But what that masked, of course, is that it had a very chilly first half to the month, similar to what happened in June. I mean, it's really been in the second half, and especially in the last week or so, but we've seen that picking up quite a lot. So far, nothing overly dramatic going on with the summer. Earlier on in the year, we had, a lot of bumps that were coming in 2 degrees or more above average. February came in at 4 degrees above average, but June and July have been much closer to average so far. We wait to see what August has in store for us. These are the GFS. Oh, sorry, everyone, I'm still down with allergy today. These are the GFS upper air temperature precipitation ensembles next couple of weeks. Norwich today, the red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average for Norwich. So we're starting off above average at the moment, quite significantly so, still quite hot and humid. We will see a cool down taking place through the remainder of the week into the weekend. Early next week, we get a bit of a tick up. That is associated with an area of low pressure, though, so maybe bring some cloud and rain with it. Then after that, hovering close to the long-term average, but there is a lot of scatter within that. You notice the thick green line, which is the GFS operational run. That is very up and down, telling us that we're going into a rather changeable pattern with warmer sectors and cooler sectors all day. It actually looks a little bit zonal, I have to say. And of course, there is this one very dramatic outlier here that raises the upper air temperature to 22 degrees at 858 HPA. That's a really hot outlier. But there is a bit of evidence there that as we go through the first half of August, we may get some hotter conditions come through. If we do, I imagine it'll only be quite brief and break down into like a thundery breakdown. But I wouldn't completely rule out, with how much up and down is going on in that graph, I wouldn't completely rule out the chance of some appreciable levels of hot weather coming back at some point before the first before the middle of August. Precipitation-wise, so shower conditions come over the next 2 or 3 days, then drier for a couple of days next week. More wet weather there around the 7th of August. That's kind of middle of next week. Gets associated with that lift up in the upper air temperatures. So that's an area of low pressure. And then after that, looking rather showery as we go through the second week of August. Temperature anomalies from the 1st to the 9th of August, above average for England, Wales, nearer normal for Scotland, Ireland. Precipitation anomalies from the 1st to the 9th of August. Many areas coming out a little bit drier than average, or drier than normal, really. My latest wind blow map from earth.nullschool.net has an area of low pressure in the Atlantic, and a cold front is waiting, or a couple of cold fronts actually, are waiting in the wings to move in and turn things fresher ahead of it. Of course, we've got all of this heat and humidity generating the risk of some thunderstorms. Well, let's start going through the chart data then. This is our latest UK Met Euro run, looking for midnight on Sunday. Low pressure beginning to get its act together in the Atlantic. And so the early part of next week brings weather system in off the Atlantic with cloud and rain. Quite warm with that, bringing up southwest wind ahead of it, turning cooler the high map band of cloud and rain. The middle part of next week, we look pretty flat with low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south, and winds coming in from a westerly direction. And then Icon looks like that, again rather unsettled through the early part of next week with some rain, particularly in the north and the west, and more unsettled conditions moving through to the middle part of next week in the north and west. The south should have quite a lot of dry weather. And then notice this very intense looking glow just here. I think that is the disturbance area that we was just looking at a moment ago for the National Hurricane Center. So sorry again, everyone. So that is either a tropical storm, possibly a hurricane moving into the northern Atlantic, and maybe going to get caught up in the jet stream and come our way. That's as far as we can get to with like. It'd be fun if we could have run that on a couple more days, wouldn't it? Yeah, I think that's like the disturbance area anyway. But we're just talking about disturbance one forming a hurricane and or tropical storm. I'm moving into the North Atlantic. Right, the KMA looking like this. So, again, rather unsettled through the middle part of next week with some rain at times. Second half of next week is flat and westerly. High pressure south, low pressure is to the north. And as we get to the end of the KMA run, just keeps things changeable. Just try to build up the Azores high there. And for the south, perhaps has a couple of dry and quite warm days, but doesn't last very long. And by the 13th of August, as far as we get to the KMA, we're back into those cooler and more unsettled conditions again. And then the GFS midnight run, it's all much of a muchness of the early part of next week with some showery bursts at times. Middle of next week keeps things rather mixed as well. The second weekend of August is Saturday the 10th of August, builds some high pressure into southwest, dry and warmer there. Still a bit changeable though up in the north. Beyond that, beyond day 10, so it's 12th of August, again, high pressure in the south, with a lot of dry and warm weather, low pressure to the northwest, more unsettled through there. Eventually, the GFS midnight run does build up high pressure quite strongly, so as we get towards the middle of August, we're going to a drier and warmer spell of weather. It's never that unsettled in the south, it has to be said, but all areas around the middle part of August go under high pressure with the GFS midnight run. Now, quite an interesting GFS 6 then as well. Have a look at this. So, again, all much should be early part of next week. Then we're flat and westerly through the middle part of next week. But then we start getting this ridge generating around the low coast of Germany. And some very hot air is sitting just to our south. And that very quickly develops into like a plume of hot air coming up from the south and a thundery low. So we've got a thundery low there around Biscay. We're drawing up some real heat from the south as well during that weekend of the 10th and the 11th of August. Plus 20 south iceberg back in over northern parts of France. It all generates into a thundery area of low pressure, so it's a very brief sort of heat spike, I suppose. But it's the kind of thing that might get the temperature into mid-30s Celsius if it came off. So GFS 6Z, has another push of heat and potentially a Spanish plume and thundery breakdown around sort of days 8, 9, 10. There's the upper air temperature there for the 12th of August. Big temperature contrast. That looks like a classic sort of thundery low Spanish plume type setup. Beyond that, the hot conditions get out of the way. We're going to a cooler, showery northwesterly, and then the Atlantic flow keeps on coming up to the 17th of August as far as we get to the GFS today. If you enjoyed the video, please do like, share and subscribe. Thanks so much everyone for doing that. Drop a comment, let us know what you think about this and all of our videos and content, and don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids and get them to subscribe too. Thank you so much everyone for doing that. GM again with low pressure out in the Atlantic through the early part of next week, bringing unsettled conditions in from the west. Into the second half of next week, we build some higher pressure into the far south and southwest. So it's a little bit drier and warmer there. Still rather showery though up in the north. That could be disturbance one as well, by the way, just there. Nowhere near as intense as an icon was showing it. And the GEM by day 10 looking quite unsettled actually. A trough of low pressure looks like it's sinking into the western portion of Europe. And then the ECM looks like that. Once more, we're building up ridge to the southwest on Sunday ahead of low pressure from Monday and Tuesday, which will bring some rain in with it. Bearing to cooler shower conditions in the middle part of next week. Flat westerly second half of next week. And around days 8, 9 and 10, we just keep the winds in from the northwest. So rather cool and rather showery there up to day 10 with the ECM. Visible precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from TheMetShow.com. So what's ECM making of the thunderstorm today? So this evening, like the South Midlands down into central southern southeastern England, it could get some storms. They rumble on. When they rumble on into the night before fading out. Some storms there for eastern far southeastern portion of England. Then tomorrow we've got rain coming in from the Atlantic as well. And then beyond that, well, the early part of next week brings wet weather right the way across the country. Some heavy rain possible even for central, southern and southeastern parts of England and Wales there around Tuesday. Then we're showery in the north and west in particular, drier in the south. We keep those showery northwest winds going up to day 10. These are the options on the table within the ECM ensembles today for day 10. The Icelandic Met Office gets us to the 11th of August. 24 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure to the north, high pressure to the south, keeping us flat and westerly up to day 10. Including the control and the operation run. We've got 16 with low pressure to the north and high pressure to the south. Again, rather westerly with that. Bit drier by myself. And then we've got 11 with low pressure over and to the east of the country. Some sort of ridge in the Atlantic. And so possibly a bit on the cool and showery side with that, with those 11 too. And then in 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we got. If I can get it to work, will it work? Yeah, there we go. So that gets us to the 16th of August. Got 14 members of the ECM ensembles with low pressure to the east, high pressure out to the west. That's going to be cool and showery winds in from a northwesterly or northerly direction with that. 12 with low pressure to the east, high pressure in the Atlantic, cool, showery again. 11 with a mid-Atlantic ridge going up towards Greenland, low pressure across the north and west of Europe, winds coming in from a northeasterly direction. 6 with high pressure in the Atlantic, that's a bit drier, but probably still quite cool with the wind direction. Another 6 with high pressure over to the south of the coast, that will drag up some warmer air from the south, and 2 with low pressure to the northeast, high pressure in the Atlantic, and that keeps things rather showery and a bit on the cool side. So there's not a great deal of evidence, I have to say, within the ECM ensembles for any notably hot weather around the middle part of August, like that GFS V2 was showing. So we'll wait and see how it all works out. To me, it's looking potentially rather changeable and showery through the first half of August, probably a bit on the cool side as well, but we'll see. Right, okay, CFS V2 finally. And then we're done. So this is the week 1 500 millibar height anomaly. Takes us from the 1st to the 7th of August. Low pressure is in the Atlantic, looking unsettled in the weekend, particularly for the north and the west. Week 2 will be the 8th to 14th of August with high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north. That's going to be a bit drier and warmer for the south, but still a bit changeable up in the north. Week 3 will be the 15th to 21st of August. More unsettled again. Low pressure digging back in and high pressure pulling out into the middle of the Atlantic. So that's going to be rather cool and unsettled. And then finally, week 4 will be the 22nd, 28th of August with low pressure in Scotland and Iceland. And winds again coming in from a westerly direction. That's most unsettled in the north. It's also changeable August there based on that CFS run today. Okay, we're done. If you've enjoyed the video, please like, share, subscribe. Make sure to share one for doing that. Drop a comment and stay with me about this and all of our videos and content. Don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids. Get them to subscribe to me. Thank you so much for doing that. Rather longer video today, but we did have a lot to discuss with that early part of the video, looking at risk of some thunder maybe later on today. If you get a storm and you want one, then enjoy it. I'll just tell you what's happening on the channel. I don't think we've got Terry's August forecast on GavsWeatherVids blog this evening, and then tomorrow we're going to have the 6am UK weather forecast, January Friday, and a 10 to 14 day as well. I'm off to have another drink with some honey and lemon again. And hopefully this cold will be lifting soon. I really, keep my fingers crossed that it will. I'm fed up with it now. But anyway, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. And for this one, that's all for now. And thanks for watching.